Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a brand new Planeswalker that has entered the vault, Dakkon Shadow Slayer. So, let's get into it. Dakon Shadowslayer is the first of his kind. He is the first Planeswalker with his color identity. Dakkon is a tricolor walker and is white, blue, and black. This is a Planeswalker that is very much going to be taking the game by storm. You are going to be going up against this Planeswalker quite a bit over the coming months, as it is incredibly powerful. I want to go over Dakkon's abilities, mana bonuses, kit, etc. And then I'm going to go ahead, show some gameplay, and then finally give some, last thoughts about the Planeswalker. Dakkon Shadow Slayer has 3 abilities, like all walkers in Puzzle Quest, but no passive. So Dakkon's first ability, Bearer of the Black Blade, is going to cost 9 loyalty. You're going to Surveil 4 if you're unfamiliar with Surveil. You're going to pick up to the top 4 cards of your library and put any number of those in your graveyard and keep the rest on top of your library. So it's going to help you filter your deck to make sure that you're drawing the cards that you want to draw. Then you're going to gain life equal to the number of white gems on the board. Your opponent is going to lose life equal to the number of black gems on the board. And finally, you're going to gain loyalty equal to the number of blue gems on the board. I would make an argument, and I think that many of you, after playing with this Planeswalker, will agree, that this is the strongest first ability in the entire game. At the very least, the argument that you can make is that it is one of the best. I happen to think it is the best. So, why? Surveil 4 lets you not only throw things in your graveyard that you want, which is very important for black, and actually for that matter, even right now with white, but it's going to let you choose what you're going to be drawing. Furthermore, you're getting more out of that from the ability. You're going to gain life, which is nice to have in your Planeswalker's kit. You're going to make your opponents lose life, which is also going to be nice in your kit. But most importantly, at least to me, you're going to gain loyalty equal to the number of blue gems on the board. So as long as there are 9 or more blue gems, you're going to be getting your loyalty back for using this ability. And if you build a functionally good deck around Dakkon, where you're going to be using blue conversion in your deck, then you're going to be getting a lot more than 9 loyalty. And you're going to get so much loyalty from this ability, for that matter, that the other 2 abilities, which cost 16 and 26 loyalty, their loyalty amounts aren't really going to matter, because you're going to get so much loyalty out of that ability. I had figured that the amount of loyalty you get would be capped, but it absolutely is not capped, which is crazy with this Planeswalker. The second ability is something that you want in any Planeswalker's kit, which is removal. So for 16 loyalty, you're going to exile target creature. Then you're going to convert a gem to white, convert a gem to blue, convert a gem to black. And if you exiled one of your own creatures, for whatever odd reason, you're going to convert 3 gems to each of Dakkon's colors instead. Now, if Dakkon was any other Planeswalker, I would say that this 16 loyalty ability was overcosted. But because of the way his first ability works, I think the 16 actually works just fine for Dakkon. You will never have a Planeswalker that has removal in its kit and go, oh darn, it has removal. Because, let's face it, sometimes you're just not going to draw the card you need, and your opponent is going to draw the card they need. So having removal in your Planeswalker's kit is an incredibly valuable thing to have. And then finally, the third ability for Dakkon Shadow Slayer, you're going to destroy the top 10 cards of your library, and then you're going to create the Forging the Black Blade token. That card gains the Darkness emblem, and you're going to put the first 2 support cards from your graveyard into play for free. That includes Vanguards, that includes things like Prismatic Bridge. There's a lot of supports right now that you can throw in there that you're going to get back, and it's really, really good. Now, the Forging the Black Blade token says that at the beginning of combat on your turn, your first creature gets +1/+1 for each white, blue, and black gem on the board until end of turn. Then, if the support has the Darkness emblem, all of your opponent's creatures get -X until end of turn, where X is going to be the greatest number among white, blue, or black gems on the board. There's pretty much always going to be at least 10 of any one of them. If you're running focused conversion, which you should be if you can, then you're probably going to have somewhere between 15 and 18 of the gem on the board. And so this winds up wiping everything that your opponent plays from the board every single turn. Now, there is a caveat that I discovered while testing this Planeswalker for this ability, and that is that you need to have a creature on the battlefield in order for this ability to function. If you don't have a creature on the battlefield, not only will you not get the buff during your combat, which makes sense, but your opponent is not going to then lose their creatures. If the support has a darkness emblem, opposing creatures get -X/-X. That doesn't happen if you don't have a creature on the battlefield. So you do need to have a creature on the battlefield for that third ability to work. Just keep that in mind. Now, the last part about Dakkon here is that Dakkon's mana gains are +3 to white, +4 to blue, +4 to black, and then -2 to both red and green. So Dakkon's mana gains are actually the best mana gains of any of the tricolor walkers in the game. It actually ties with one of the Bolases. So kind of what's crazy about Dakkon, and I'll get to the other tricolor walkers in just a hot moment, just for a point of comparison, is that the real thing that holds tricolor walkers back in Puzzle Quest, and part of the reason why you're not seeing as many of them right now in use, is that they tend to have very low mana gains. For that matter, tricolor walkers have a -2 to their mana gains compared to monocolor walkers, and a -1 compared to dual color walkers, just if you take a look at their whole spread. But on the whole, they generally tend to top out at +3 to any mana gain. They might even have +2 to some of their colors, whereas Blackblade has +4 to 2 of his colors, and +3 to the other, which is absolutely phenomenal. The other thing that's holding a lot of the other tricolor walkers back is that most of the tricolor walkers have one really good ability, and then they have 2 absolutely terrible abilities, or just generally not good abilities. Whereas Dakkon, all 3 abilities are like S-tier abilities. Now, granted, the bottom 2 abilities are more S-tier abilities because of the first ability. It definitely makes it that. But the text for the bottom 2 abilities are phenomenal as they are. It's just that because of the way that Dakkon's first works, the loyalty of 16 and 26 doesn't wind up being as big of a deal. So if we take a look at some of the other prominent tricolor walkers in the game right now, we've got things like Brokon, we've got things like Tamiyo, we've got things like the Bolas group. So we do actually have to scroll a little ways down here. But if we take a look at Bolas the Ravager as an example, you'll see that Bolas the Ravager has +2 to 2 of his colors and +3 to another. Bolas the Ravager happens to be one of those rare tricolor walkers that has exceptional abilities around the board. However, the mana gains for this one really hold it back in the current standard. This one you'll see has the +3 spread to everything. The first ability is really good, and the second 2 abilities are not that good. Bolas Dragon God, once again, this one's got the +4/+4, so it's got the same spread as Dakkon for the mana gains. The second ability is pretty good. The third ability is actually okay. The first ability is actually pretty decent as well, which happens to be why I use this walker the most of all tricolor walkers in the game, with the exception of I will use Dakkon more now, I think. But nonetheless, Bolas, the Dragon God, is one of the few that actually has like really good abilities around the board. Tamiyo, her first and second ability are basically unusable. Her third ability is really the only good one. And then finally for Brokon, the first ability is not good. The second ability is very not good, and the third ability is incredible. But once again, the +3 spread to the mana. So I'm merely going to all of these just to point out just how much Dakkon excels over all of the other tricolor walkers, with the exception, in my opinion, of Bolas Dragon God. And I think that the Dakkon's abilities all 3 of them are better than Bolas's 3 abilities. And so Dakkon is now the best tricolor walker in Puzzle Quest. So I want to go over some cards that are going to pair really well with Dakkon for the next segment of this video. Dakkon excels with a great many cards. It's definitely helpful that you can put all of pretty much the best cards that are currently in Standard in Dakkon, but there are a few cards that really stand out to me as cards that pair particularly well with this Planeswalker. The first of them is Faithbound Judge. These two are kind of a match made in heaven. So this one here is going to have, when You make a white match by swap for the first time during your turn. If this card's in your graveyard, you create the Sinner's Judgment token. So the Sinner's Judgment token, if it lets me click on it, is going to state at the beginning of your turn, this card's level, or increase this card's level by 1. Then you gain X loyalty, where X is going to be 8 times this card's level. So the first time it's going to gain 8 loyalty, then it's going to gain 16, then it's going to gain 24. So it winds up jumping up that loyalty really quickly. And because of the way that Dakkon's first ability works with Surveil, you can actually just Surveil the Judge straight into your graveyard, or when you use your third ability, when you wind up destroying the top 10 cards of your library, if you haven't already Surveilled a Faithbound Judge into your graveyard, just because you haven't pulled one up yet, it's very likely that you're going to dump one in your graveyard as one of the 10, and then you just need to make a white match, and you're going to get this thing's support Sinner's Judgment. And then once you've got that, you've just got loyalty up the wazoo. You don't even have to use the first ability anymore. You can just start spamming the third ability. You can go ahead and use the second ability for additional removal in the rare event that your opponent gets a creature down that has more toughness than the third ability will kill. Or alternatively, you can just spam that first ability for the life gain and the life loss for your opponent, and then just to control your draws even more. So this card, I think, happens to be the very best card in the game in terms of like cards that you can pair with Dakkon. It's absolutely phenomenal. In terms of other cards that are going to pair really well with Dakkon, actually Starfield of Nyx is another one that is going to pair really well with Dakkon. It's a mythic from Origins, and this one says that at the beginning of your turn, the last support you control that was destroyed is returned to the battlefield. So Dakkon actually represents a phenomenal graveyard deck, either for a creature graveyard or a like support graveyard type of deck, right? Because both Dakkon's first ability and third ability are going to throw things into the graveyard, and so Starfield of Nyx is then going to be able to bring the supports that you throw away back for free. And then Dakkon's third ability is not only going to put more into the graveyard for you, but it's going to give you 2 free supports for using the ability. So if you're a player who played in the old days and you really liked using stuff like Starfield of Nyx, Dakkon represents an excellent opportunity to bring this card back out of the vault and throw it into some decks and get wacky with your building, because it gets absolutely bonkers. Now, the next thing that you're going to really want to focus on with Dakkon, if you're looking for just card pairings, and I don't mean Otawara specifically, but just any blue gem converter. So anything that says convert gems to blue. So you can actually go to your card pool and you just type in convert blue, and then that will pull up all of your things that convert blue. I'm actually going to go ahead and specifically go to the supports. There were some questions in my Discord about Cut Your Losses. This is an absolutely phenomenal card in Standard right now. However, this is a one-time boost to the blue gems on the board. You're actually going to be better off with blue gem conversion, because the blue gem conversion is going to happen every single turn. So things like Magosi, the Water Veil, which converts 3, or Otawara that converts 2, or even in the common range, you've got things like Port of Carfel, which is going to also convert 2. Or actually, for that matter, even the pathways. There are some pathways that will also have convert blue as well. So we've got a lot in the game right now that is going to serve as gem conversion. For that matter, you could even go ahead and just run the land forming blue cards, because those you've got those in creatures and in spells. You could go ahead and run some of the land forming cards, and they're going to go ahead and give you supports that are going to convert gems to blue as well. So you really want to focus on that blue gem conversion with this Planeswalker, because not only is the Planeswalker's highest mana bonus blue, tied with black, but also with that first ability, you're just going to get absolutely ridiculous amounts of loyalty. Now, the last thing that I think makes Dakkon truly exceptional is that Dakkon's abilities make it so that it really doesn't matter if you have a great collection. Dakkon is just going to be incredible. And beyond that, a lot of the best cards that we currently have in Standard happen to be in Dakkon's colors. And not just some of the best cards in Standard, but just the best commons and uncommons. We've got things like Sigarda's Imprisonment, which is one of the best removal cards in the game. It absolutely locks down one of your opponent's creatures, and it is a common. You can run the Sleep with the Fishes, as I spell Fosh, as an uncommon, right? This is the singular best removal card in Standard right now. It permanently disables one of your opponent's creatures, and it puts a fish token on your side for your opponent to waste their removal on. So this is another one that you can throw in there. even if you look at the deck that I'm running, you can run cards like Cut Your Losses, or you can run things like Illicit Shipment to fetch cards. And if you have Dak Faden somehow, then you can also use that ridiculous combo of removal between Dak and then these cards with Casualty, because Casualty is going to sack it. If you have even more cards at your disposal, there are things like Velomachus, which are going to give you crazy amounts of spells, or even Sigarda, Host of Herons, which is going to make all of the defenders that you have in white have prevent damage and convert ridiculous amounts of gems to loyalty to buff up Dakon's loyalty even more. So it's really just that there are so many options at your disposal with this Planeswalker for things that you can do. You really don't need great cards. I know that my personal deck here is a deck full of mythics and masterpieces. I will be showcasing a deck that is just commons and uncommons, just purely pauper. And for that deck, for that matter, I specifically tried to put in commons and uncommons that aren't exactly great. So you'll notice that in that deck, I'm not using Sigarda's Imprisonment. I'm not using Sleep with the Fishes. So I'm purposefully trying to make that deck not optimal, and you get to see how Dakon still destroys my opponent. So with that, I do want to get into the gameplay with this Planeswalker. My first match here is actually up against a pre-nerf Ajani. So Octagon sent me this Planeswalker so I could test it out a bit early. So I really want to thank you, Octagon, for sending me this Planeswalker so I could test it out. And so I actually got to test this against Ajani at the peak of Ajani's powers before Ajani got nerfed. And so you'll get to see here how it works out. So I've got to Cut Your Losses in my hand. I've actually got a really nice black into blue match on the left side of the board. I'm actually not taking it because, and I know I could have taken it, I didn't take it there because I knew I was about to convert a whole bunch of gems to blue. And so I figured that if there were more blue gems on the battlefield, there was more of an opportunity for a ridiculous cascade, and that is exactly what happened there. So Johnny is already spamming off their abilities, but it's really not too big of a deal because I have the Faithbound Judge down on the battlefield. And then now I'm looking at the board. I definitely have more than 9 blue gems on the board, so I can just go ahead and dump whatever it is I want into my graveyard. I'm going to go ahead and select the Surveil tooltip. So any card I select here is going to go straight to the graveyard. So you'll see that my opponent takes 9, I gain 9, and then I gain enough loyalty to now activate my second ability. So I've already got 17 loyalty, even though I just activated that ability. And now I actually made a mistake on the left side of the board here. If I actually took this and moved that down, I would have had a 5 match, and so I would have gained an extra swap. But I was in foolish mode. I was in super excitement mode, actually, is the better way of putting it, because this was my very first match with Dakon. So you'll see that once again, I definitely have 9 blue gems on the battlefield, so I'm just going to go ahead and activate my third ability, which gets me, my first ability, which gets me my third ability. I'm also going to be able to organize my deck a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead, drop Otawara, I'm going to drop Dak, which is going to let me steal one of my opponent's creatures. I'm going to get an illicit shipment here, so I'm going to go ahead and take control of my opponent's Mycaeus, and then I actually can't destroy anything there unless I want to destroy my Judge. And I actually considered destroying the Judge here just to have it in my graveyard, but my Judge still has prevent damage, and I kind of wanted to try and play a match where Johnny just didn't hurt me at all. So plus next turn when I use my third ability, all of what a Johnny has on the board is just going to go bye-bye. Even though it all has prevent damage, that doesn't matter because minus bypasses prevent damage. So looking at this, I'm definitely going to go ahead and pop my third ability. I'm at 30 loyalty, which is just absolutely absurd. You'll see that I get a Magosi and I get a Teferi back, so just further proof that you can indeed get Vanguards back from that ability. I'm going to use Dak's first ability just to put some gold down. I'm going to go ahead and get another Faithbound Judge there. I'm going to go ahead and take my match, and then I'll get Sigarda down as well. You'll see that I'm actually trying to preserve some of the blue gems on the board. If you're just wondering why I'm doing that just because the more blue gems that there are on the board, the better for my first ability. And so here you'll see Dak's third ability token triggering, the Faithbound Judge, which now has double strike, got boosted by what is it, 27 power. So my 4/4 now all of a sudden got to hit for 62. And it also wiped all of Ajani's stuff. So Ajani drops down an Angel of Destiny, normally a really scary card to go up against. But with this particular deck and this particular Planeswalker, in this particular situation, it is not terrifying at all, because once you get your third ability down, you just win. There's just very many different shades of you win that come out, and this is one of them. So I've actually got, if I want, I'm just going to go ahead and take the blue into Loyalty. I'm going to get Velomachus down. Velomachus is another one that, you know, is going to come down and do big, beautiful things. And pre-nerf Ajani is gone. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. My second match here is my Pauper deck. And so you're going to see that I have a great starting match here. I've got that blue into black. It's not only going to be in my colors, but it's going to be denying Ashiok, which is my opponent, of some stuff in their colors, which is good. You'll see that I'm running pretty heavy removal in this deck, and that's just because if I'm not running really powerful cards, I like to run stuff that's going to get rid of my opponent's really powerful cards, because I play in Platinum, and even if I didn't play in Platinum, I'd still want to do that, honestly. So I moved Secret Rendezvous up, but I really don't think that's the right play, so I'm going to move Killshot back up, just because it's always good to have removal charged and ready. I was really hoping there that I would be able to get some kind of conversion here that would enable me to use my first ability, but as you saw, that didn't happen. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and take the Big Kid match, which gets me to my first ability. So I will be able to start spamming that for Loyalty this next turn, assuming Ashiok doesn't get rid of all of my blue gems, which Ashiok is very kind and does not get rid of all my blue gems. I've got more than 9, so I can actually go ahead and use my first here to safely gain some Loyalty and get all the other good stuff associated with this. So I'm going to go ahead, throw away a bunch of stuff that I don't need. You'll notice I'm going to keep my kill spell. I deal 12 to Ashiok there. Ashiok gains it back because of the Angel of Suffering, but that's really not a big deal. And so here I actually had the option of trying to get the Morite of Frost down to get my own Angel down, but ultimately I wanted more shields on my my conversion support, because once you get your third ability down, you kind of just win. And so I figured that the more shields I had for conversion, the more likely it was that I was going to get to my third ability more quickly. And so there you see, I'm already at my third ability. I'm actually not going to activate it here because I want to get my creatures on the battlefield. By having a creature on the battlefield here, it ensures that my opponent doesn't get a free turn to destroy the support. So the port comes down, I get the Morite down. That's just really to make sure that I have a creature on the battlefield so that the third ability activates. And you'll see that my opponent is running a really Masterpiece heavy deck, and I have no rares and no Masterpieces in this deck. So even though my opponent has a really Masterpiece and Mythic heavy deck, not a Masterpiece, just a Mythic heavy deck from what we've seen, it really doesn't matter, because Dak's abilities are so good that as long as you make even like a remote attempt at making a cohesive deck with this Planeswalker, you're going to see some pretty crazy things happen. So you'll see that my Morite of Frost already buffs up to 32 power. We get rid of my opponent's creature, and Ashiok is going to go ahead and, you know, take a last stab to make anything happen. But at this stage, Ashiok really only has 2 turns left. Ashiok is going to need to get rid of both of my creatures here. And so here I actually make a little bit of a misplay. I should have actually, that Umara Wizard, I should have just left it in my hand, just in case Ashiok destroyed both of my creatures here. But I decided not to, and it didn't wind up mattering for this particular game. So Ashiok's going to play a land and is going to destroy my first creature, but just my first creature. And now, as long as I leave enough gems of any one color on the battlefield, it'll be fine, and I'll be able to kill Ashiok this turn. So I wanted to see if I could make a few more things happen. I wanted to use the first ability just to get a little bit more chip damage on Ashiok to make sure that this was, you know, a safe win this turn. And so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lock down all of my removal. I don't want to blow up the board. I'm going to use the Bearer of the Black Blade ability right here just to ping Ashiok for an additional 8. And then between that ping and the number of gems on the board, this will definitely be enough to kill Ashiok. And you'll see that bada bing, bada boom, we're able to really easily beat a well-constructed deck with some really cool cards with really nothing. So that's all of my gameplay with Dakkon. For my final thoughts on Dakkon, really the only thing going against Dakkon is that if you want to pick up Dakkon in the vault right now, it's $40 US, so whatever that is in your currency. Or if you wait for Dakkon to become available for crystals, Dakkon will become available for crystals roughly 14 days after he exits the vault. At the time of my recording this video, there are 12 days left for Dakkon in the vault, so a grand total of about 26 days from when this video goes live on YouTube until Dakkon becomes available to everyone for crystals. So if you can wait that long, by all means go ahead and wait. If you're a free-to-play player, make sure that you're saving up your crystals. I'm going to go ahead and say it now, Dakon Shadowslayer is, I think, arguably the best Planeswalker in the game right now, especially after a Johnny's nerf. There are some other Planeswalkers that I think are real contenders for that spot, but I think that Dakkon just ousts them because of the color combination and what we currently have accessible to us in Standard, and then just the absolutely phenomenal abilities that Dakkon Shadow Slayer has at his disposal. This is 100% a Planeswalker that every player is going to want to have in their collection. It is an absolutely phenomenal Planeswalker. Now, if you do wind up buying the bundle, you wind up getting these special packs, the blue booster pack and the black booster pack. Those are basically just new Capenna booster packs. They don't have any kind of, and the white one, they don't have any special odds. So it's not going to get you, any kind of super odds on the pack, but they do have some really good cards in them. This happens to be a phenomenal set. But nonetheless, it still happens to have some of the best cards in the set in them. So like Void Rend you can get in the blue one, Cut Your Losses you can get in the blue one, and then of course Sleep with the Fishes is another one that you can pick up in the blue one. There's some other stuff that you can pick up in the white and the black ones, but I mean, those are things that are very accessible too. Now, I know some of you free-to-play players are probably going to be like, hold on a second, Nalthazar. This Planeswalker is tricolor, so or even for you newer players, right? It's going to cost me roughly 320,000 mana runes to get this thing to level 60. And I don't have 320,000 mana runes. And so that's really actually not something that you need to super worry about. Please forgive my computer for being a little bit choppy here, but you'll see that with all of Dakkon's abilities at rank 1, you're still getting Exile the first opposing creature. The first ability actually winds up becoming entirely pointless, and the third ability creates the Forging the Black Blade token, but it doesn't get the Darkness emblem, which is absolutely what it needs. Now, with that in mind, if you take a look at the rank 2 portion of Dakkon, the Forged by Greed token is actually going to gain that Darkness emblem at rank 2. So if you have either loyalty converters or you just have a whole bunch of gem conversion, then you can actually make Dakkon work really, really well at level 30, just because once you get that third ability down, you basically win the game. Now, I'm not generally a personal fan of running Planeswalkers under level 60. I know that some people are, and so if you're one of those players who does like to run their Planeswalkers that way, I did want to make sure that while I was leveling Dakkon, I stopped to show all of the rank 1 abilities and all of the rank 2 abilities, really just to highlight when Dakkon is going to gain the Darkness emblem on the third ability. So it does actually hit that level 2 at level 30, so you do need to get Dakkon to level 30 in order to get that Darkness emblem on Dakkon's third ability. For my final conclusion on this Planeswalker, this is absolutely an S+ tier Planeswalker. It is definitely a Planeswalker that you're going to want to go ahead and make sure that you pick up. Either if you're a person who is willing to buy stuff in the game, you're not going to get a better purchase out of this game than picking this thing up. And if you are not a person who likes to buy things in the game, just wait for it to come into the vault for crystals. It will do so in, 12 days plus another 14, so roughly 26 days from when the video goes live. So you do need to have 850 mana crystals for that. And so if you're one of those people who's just waiting to buy it for that, then I would strongly advise save up your crystals now and do as many events as you can to pick up as many mana runes as you can so you can level this thing up as much as you can. You definitely want to make sure that you get that third ability with the Darkness emblem. That's going to require it at level 30. And then you're also going to want to make sure that the blue ability, the first ability is going to be giving you loyalty on blue gems. And I believe, and forgive me for not taking screen caps of ranks 3 and 4. I didn't think of it as I was leveling him up. But you do want to make sure that you have the loyalty gain from that as well if you really want to maximize this Planeswalker. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.